All right, guys, back with another Portable Clint. Guys, I have always loved this guy, but I have fallen in love more with this guy over the past 12 hours researching him. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Wilson. Whoa, whoa.
Hi, everybody.
Whoa,
Hi,
look at you here.
Thanks.
What? Wow.
Thanks for having me. I am honestly flattered to be here.
Well, okay, there's nothing better than you walking up and me like saying, hey, and you're like, hey, wait. Johnny Carson taught me, let's no small talk before.
I was on the Johnny Carson show, and you always expect, like, well, I'm in the dressing room, and they'll come up and say, well, good luck. They said, no. He never does that. He never does that. He just wants, like, when you come in, he just wants to, like, hello, make it fresh, and so here we are.
I love it. I love it. Tom,
Yeah.
let's get going. You ready for this?
Absolutely.
Okay, Tom, when did you start thinking about a career in the entertainment field?
I'm from Philadelphia originally.
That's where Rocky's from.
That is where Rocky's from, and Jack Klugman.
Yes. Oh, I love Jack Klugman.
But I was not an athlete. I was sick from school a lot. I wasn't. I was looking for something that I was good at. It didn't seem like I was very talented at anything. And then I was in a play, and everyone went like, more than like, that was good, but like, wow, that was really good. So I started to do plays. I studied acting in Philadelphia at a place called the Philadelphia Company, which is it's now called the Philadelphia Theater Company. I studied at a wonderful theater company called the People's Light and Theater Company. Moved to New York, studied at a lot of places, and then so New York, 1979, and then as teachers are saying, like, you know, you're really talented at this. You should really pursue this. Because you're a kid, you don't know, like,
Right. Yeah.
To people from Pennsylvania and think about actually moving to Los Angeles, like, why not you say, Mom and Dad, I'm going to be a Martian. I'm going to move to Mars, and I'm going
Exactly.
So with a lot of teachers and mentor figures in my life saying, hey, you're good at this. Give it a shot. Do your best. Moved to Los Angeles, New York 79, Los Angeles in 81.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there for a sec because I don't want to glide over something. First of all, you thinking at the very beginning that what am I good at? Well, that's what I've noticed the past 12 hours of researching you. You're so good at so many things.
I think it's pretty. Thank you, but the slice of pie. It's like here's the slice of pie.
Right.
Here's the rest of the circle. You know, that old Clint Eastwood, a man's got to know his limitations.
Yes.
So I know a lot about what I don't know, I think. And the arts, my high school had, I was absent from school a lot. I had asthma, I was in the hospital a lot. But my high school had an arts section. You know,
Okay.
kind of visual art, theater, music, and I just gravitated there. So by the time, end of high school, I was in a lot of trouble in a lot of other places. But you could always find me in there, doing a play, making music, you know, drawing, doing whatever it was in the arts. It was a magnet to me because I knew everything else, man. It was not magnetic, believe me.
Well, that's the stuff that stood out to me last night. You can sing, you can play instruments,
Yes,
you can act.
yes.
I mean, and you can paint. Dude, you can paint. I'm so impressed with your paintings. And I'm not
thanks.
just saying that. I mean, seriously, check out his artwork. I knew nothing about the artwork until last night.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Thank you very much.
I love he paints old toys that we grew up with. So it's artwork that's very familiar to me. I guess
Yeah.
that's another reason why I love it so much. But the colors, everything is beautiful. So again, I'm starting off by saying I think you could have been successful at anything that you went for, but acting hit first. Am I?
I think that that's true. I think acting was just the most natural to me. I think in all of the others, I really had to work. I'm like Rudy of the arts.
Rudy Rudiger.
You know?
Yes.
Rudy Rudiger. I mean, the kid that just loves it and just doesn't want to quit, just wants it.
Right.
In painting, in acting, in music, I loved it. But in acting was the thing where, to me, honestly, it was kind of like falling off a log. You know, it was sort of like a kid who has a knack for you. Just, oh, well, it's like a real thing. Like Clint and I are actually going to fight about this truck. but we're going to make it like it's real.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a lot of trickery with me. It was just, so you just have a scene and you make it real.
And
So
that
it's
was
sort
it
of
was just that simple to you.
It pretty much early on. Now I studied and I took classes in ways to facilitate that feeling, but a lot of it from the beginning was like, well, it's acting all the way up to the point where we start the scene, right? As we think about it, but while we're doing it, it's kind of not acting. It's kind of real.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That is the feeling, and that is kind of that intoxicating feeling where when the scene is over and you look at each other like, whoa.
Yeah,
that was pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That was good.
You make that eye contact.
That was like,
tapped
that was
into
on.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We
Yeah.
had that focus, that flow, whatever people talk about is like, man, that was good.
Right. Yeah. I love that magic.
It is, and that's what it's all about. That's why when you're a kid, just like anything, you're just like, whoa, what just happened? Well, whatever it was, let's do that again.
Okay, so let's go back to New York.
Yeah.
You performed at a place where I love Catch a Rising Star.
Yes.
And the only reason why I love it is because I saw it a lot when I was a kid in Texas watching HBO.
Sure.
So you were there as a comedian. Tell me about your comedian. You're being a comedian.
Unlike a lot of comedians, I was an actor before I was a comedian.
Okay.
Or almost at the same time. But I was a young guy, and I was auditioning in New York City at this time when no one was interested in me. I was a young guy, very physically large, big voice, big chest, everything, and Al Pacino was doing Richard III on Broadway. It was the height of that small, dark, intense guy on stage. And I'm from Philadelphia, but I looked like I'm from Nebraska, and I come on like some guy from the cast of Oklahoma or Shenandoah, one of those things. And so it just wasn't working out for me in New York. And a couple of friends did stand-up at the clubs there. And honestly, at the beginning, I was a complete snob. I was well, I'm studying acting. I really...
Hey guys.
We're doing
Can
it.
I take your photograph?
Yeah, go ahead. Go quickly.
Go right
please.
ahead. Sure.
Because I'm working with color for class.
Okay, but
Sure.
I'm actually doing a video right this second.
sorry.
It's okay, but
It's
take
all
a
right.
picture. Take a picture.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll keep talking to him.
All right.
When you're an international superstar, people just come up and start.
Okay, so
So they did stand up. I was a snob, like, well, I'll come to your little nightclub to watch your little skit that you do.
Right.
But I'm going to be in some Arthur Miller play and save the American theater. Well, they had a stage, man. They had a stage. And these guys went up and they wrote their own things and they put them up. And at the end, Clint, they made like $20 and a cheeseburger out of the kitchen. This was a revelation to me. Like, you goofballs get up on stage and you do that and they pay you at the end and you make
With
car
food?
fare with food?
yeah.
Sure, I'm doing that. So it was a way to get on stage quickly, and it was a way to eat. My dad was sick. We didn't have a lot of money, so when I was there, I was really trying to survive.
You were
So-
surviving being an artist.
Exactly. I was whatever thing I need to do on stage, within the arts to make money. I'm just going to do it because I have to. Because I literally have to buy food.
Okay, did you think, all right, let me go dig a ditch? Did you think that, or did you think, I want to make it as an artist
I
through
was
this?
always this far away from digging a ditch. Always this far. And, it's now... it's old cliche stuff. And in my day, and the guys before us were like, well, wait a minute. We just dealt with rocks. We just, but it is true that I was trying to act and I was eating one bowl of ramen a day.
You're talking about the ramens that you buy in the store for 39 cents.
So I would buy like a bunch of those if I had some money, and I would just eat one a day. That was literally one meal, and I would go around and try to act. My friend of mine from high school, her grandmother was Ethel Merman.
Oh, wow.
The first lady of the American theater.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would call my friend Barb when I was most starving. I'd say, Barb, hey, you call your grandmother because she always invites you out, and then you say like, "Can I bring my friend?"
Nice, Tom.
You know.
Nice.
So she was
nice.
like, "Hi, Grandma. How are you? Oh, let's go out to dinner. Hey, can my friend Tom come? Sure, you can." So I'd be like starving.
Yeah.
I mean, really sacrificing everything for this. And then I would go out to some big restaurant with Ethel Merman and then just stuff myself.
Good for you,
So
man.
it was
Figuring
pretty
that
crazy.
rule- yeah.
It was crazy.
That's
crazy
a great
time.
trick, life hack, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to move. When do you move to Los Angeles, and why? Tell me the deciding factor. All right, I'm going to LA.
I was very upset, but it was maybe the best thing that happened to me. I did an audition in New York for theater. Intense audition, right? So there, Dad. That's why I feel the way I do. And you'll never, one of those things.
That's great,
I
man.
finish it up. And the casting director's looking at me. And I'm just nervous, like, what just happened? She says, "Can I be honest with you?" I said, "Can I be honest with you?"
No.
Sure. She says, she literally said, "We don't need you here." She said it totally wrong. She said, "We don't need you here." I said, what do you mean?" I said, New York. We just don't." I mean, she said, "You're great. You're really great. Very talented. But we just, like, we're not casting anyone that's near you, like physically, that's, the attitude. She said, "Move to California." She says, you should move to California, and you're just going to work a lot, and you're just going to be, you're just going to have a better life and everything. And now, I was a kid. I've never been more insulted in my life. I've never been more, "You don't understand, lady."
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
But now, are you thanking God that she told you
Absolutely. She did the biggest favor, So
Yeah,
I went,
yeah.
so I'm walking the streets of New York, like, what is my life? I had never been here. I didn't understand anything of the machinations of how Hollywood works.
Yeah.
But, I came here.
that? Okay, so I want to know play by play at the beginning, please. Who'd you move in with?
When I was first here, I went to the Improv because a couple of friends of mine.
One on Melrose.
One on Melrose. Rich
Bud
Hall.
Friedman's.
Yeah, Rich Hall was a friend of mine. I knew a couple
Sniglets.
of comedians from Sniglets, Saturday Night Live. I knew a couple of comedians from the clubs in New York. So I came out here, so I figured, well, I'll, go to the Improv and I'll be a regular there and
Sure.
I'll start things. So I go to the Improv, I don't even get on stage. And I'm doing that thing with them. I'm a friend of Rich Hub, friend of this guy, so I should, maybe get him. The guys. Right. Let me hop right on.
Oh, friend of Rich Hall's. Okay, yeah.
Right. So I don't even get on stage. Went to the Comedy Store literally the next night. The Comedy Store, like the open mic thing.
Sure.
Was. So I go there. I don't even know anybody there. I got on stage at the Comedy Store. Mitzi Shore, the owner of the Comedy Store, happened
Pauly
to be in the
Shore's
room.
mom?
Right. Happened to be in the room. I did well. She says, "Boom, you're a regular," which never happened. Never happened to anybody. So
See, Tom, you have success. Whatever you were set for, you would have success in that area. But go ahead.
I think so, but as you know, a lot of work and perseverance and determination come before all of that.
Right, right.
Oh, and then this happened, and
Yeah,
then so
yeah.
lucky. All those lucky breaks. The
Yeah.
harder you work, the luckier you get.
Sure.
as
Yeah,
they
exactly.
say.
Yes.
But they accepted me as a regular at the Comedy Store, and I began performing there. They said, "Well, listen, you're a big guy. You're a comedian. Why don't you work the door? Kind of be kind of a bouncer, like a presence at the door." Richard Pryor at that time was doing all of it. He was working there every night because he was preparing. This is before cable television. He was doing preparation for the movies that he would shoot, like Live on the Sunset Strip.
Yep.
He would work on an hour 15 minutes of material, and then film it as a movie. So, do you know Blake Clark?
Wait. How
Blake
do
Clark, a big voice like that. He's in a lot of Adam
Yes,
Sandler
yes,
movies.
yes,
Great
yes,
guy.
yes,
Blake's
yes,
a wonderful
yes,
guy. So
yes.
Blake and I were the doorman of the Comedy Store, keeping the room a little bit sane as Richard Pryor would work. So we'd be going up to a table full of 8 loud African American gentlemen and saying, "You guys are going to have to simmer down. Mr. Pryor's working on stage. Let's keep." So that was a lot of acting.
I bet.
Acting like a tough guy.
Yeah.
So I started that, and then and then I was working. I just worked the door there, and the door was good because you would get spots. You would get regular spots, which would be 2 a.m. performing, or because you were at the door, if somebody didn't show up, you were standing right there.
Look at you, yes,
right
yes,
there.
yes.
Main room. This is one of those Sunset Strip, Richard Pryor, everything. Main room, Comedy Store, Saturday night. Bob Saget doesn't show up for his show.
Oh.
Bob Saget, right prime time.
Sure.
Saget doesn't show up. Who's here? I'm standing right there. Get up on stage. Boom. Go up on stage. Did great. And then you're like, well, you're in, man. And then from that on, I was in that like best of the Comedy Store show on Saturday night.
Okay, so you're doing that.
Yeah.
You have a roommate too?
Yakov
during this time?
Smirnoff and Andrew Dice Clay.
Tell me, okay, so did you move in with those guys from the get-go? Who did you move in with?
I moved, they had this house. I was just living...
The back house behind the Comedy Store?
Yeah, up the hill from the Comedy Store.
Yes, I hear about
Crest
this
Hill
house.
Road.
Yes, I hear about it.
The Comedy Store used to be a nightclub in the 40s called Ciro's.
That's where it was?
That was Ciro's, right? That was Ciro's.
I've always heard about that
When you
place,
see those
yes.
Hollywood movies with going through the Mocambo room and everyone like, it was Ciro's. So this was a nightclub called Ciro's, and they owned the house up the hill above there where they would, there's... Back in the 40s, they would have a poker thing and everything, and that house oversaw all of Sunset Boulevard. So you could have guys, no matter what was happening in the nightclub, you could have guys up on the balcony reporting whether police were coming down Sunset Boulevard from either side. So I lived there with Yakov and Andrew Clay and a bunch of comics.
Do you not call him Andrew Dice Clay? You just call him Andrew Clay?
I knew him before Dice. I call Andrew. I always call him Andrew.
Okay, that's great. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, Andrew and I, we would go, let me get in my show business wheelchair. Clint, back in those days.
I love it.
But
Go,
Andrew
please.
Clay and I would go almost every other day down to Schwab's drugstore.
The one on Sunset
and about Fairfax, right near.
Was it Crescent Heights? Wasn't it Crescent Heights and Sunset?
It was.
Right where that Trader Joe's is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So it was Schwab's drugstore, and Andrew and I would go there, and for me, it was amazing because everyone, Lenny Bruce's mother used to hold court in a booth near the window. Lenny Bruce's mother, Werner Klemperer, Colonel Klink from Hogan's Heroes.
Wow,
He used to eat there all the time. And so we used to just go there all the time, me and Andrew. And and I was there when he had a 3-ring binder with, when he had one of those big pens and he was writing out things. And on the cover of it, I must admit, it kind of looked like a second grader did it, but it was like 3-dimensional letters that he put Dice.
Oh, okay.
Tommy, Dice. I go, Dice, what do you mean, Dice? Dice. My new character. Okay, man. Good. Have fun with it. And then kaboom.
It did go big. Did you think that was the missing link for him to go big? Was a good name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the name itself, but for Andrew, Andy was at that time at our house. He was doing like a Jerry Lewis impression in his act.
Yes.
He was doing a character named Tony Schlongini, and he would do like this one of the like a transformation with an outfit under his outfit under his outfit. So he would come out
that bit.
Yeah. So he had like a running like a tracksuit on, and he would be doing like a Jerry Lewis like guy, and do that like transformation.
Sure.
No, I'm Tony Schlongini, and he had a whole song. I'm not kidding.
Wow, I
he had
see
like
this
cassette
now.
tapes and everything. Put on the tape, Tony Schlongini, and he had this dance number. It was very unusual, very unusual.
Oh, I love it.
And
Okay.
then he got, at that time he got kind of dirtier and dirtier, like Dirty Joke kind of thing. And then that's what sort of, really lit the rocket under him.
Let's talk about something negative for 2 seconds. And I
Sure.
say it's negative. It's not negative, but you saw John Belushi because he was big for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
You saw him before he died.
The night he died. Yeah.
You saw him the night he died.
Yeah. I was working the door at the back door, dark hallway, and everything out on the Sunset Strip, a block or two away from the Chateau Marmont Hotel. And John had been coming into the Comedy Store just to hang out. Because Richard Pryor was there, as I said. Robin Williams was performing there every night. It was that was the place to be. And and I was a comic there, but I was a door guy also. So I'm in the back because I was a kid. So I'm the back door. And John Belushi just kind of ambles in, but in a worse way than I'd ever seen him. Really in bad shape. And so he kind of weaved in, and he sat on these steps, this dark staircase.
Do you remember what he was wearing?
I don't. Real loose stuff.
Okay.
Loose stuff, loose pants, shirt and everything. Wasn't making a lot of say it, man. That's a good, mumbling. So anyway, he's looking around and he calls me over to him, and I go up. Yeah, how's it going, John? He's in bad shape. He says, "Where am I? Where am I?" I say, "You're at the Comedy Store, John." Have I been here before? I said, "Tonight? I mean, you haven't been here before tonight. You've been here before, of course, but you haven't been here before tonight." And Richard Pryor walks up. Richard Pryor and John Belushi, and I'm young, and I'm standing there because John Belushi called me over, and I'm of course thinking, I'm standing in a three-man conversation with Richard Pryor and John Belushi.
Yeah.
Now, Richard Pryor was always very, very kind to me, but that was not the time for me to be in that conversation.
Sure.
So he did that sort of gentle looking at me, and I, okay, see you guys, and I go. Richard Pryor takes out of his back pocket, unfurls a handkerchief, clean handkerchief, to put it on the steps to sit next to John Belushi, right?
Okay.
So he puts down this handkerchief, sits next to him, and they're just talking very quietly to each other, very conspiratorially, just talking, and Richard Pryor finally leaves Belushi. Belushi finally gets up, says, "Hey, let's see him go," and I just. I don't even tell the story very much, because it's very emotional.
I bet.
Because I really, it was a very powerful moment in how sick the man was, and I was just very young, and just saying this is wrong, man. It's not right. And he walked out on Sunset. I just walked in, and I followed him out, thinking, I hope he doesn't get hit by a car or something.
Yeah.
And then he walks down Sunset anyway.
Towards Chateau.
Towards Chateau Marmont. And then I come back in, and Richard Pryor's handkerchief is still there on the step. So I took the handkerchief.
Okay.
And I still have it.
Do you really?
I still have it. I still feel badly about that because I didn't, hey, Richard, your handkerchief.
Yeah.
But for whatever, I just kept it because I didn't know what was going to happen at the Chateau Marmont.
Sure, of course.
But just for one of those.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a kid, and you think nobody's ever going to believe this.
No.
Nobody's ever going to. Like my friends at home, I was talking.
Yeah, John Belushi and Richard Pryor.
Exactly. So I still have it as a memory of that time, and I never did drugs, Clint. I wasn't a trouble. I wanted to do shows. I wanted to write my own stuff and perform things, but it was a very, very significant caution flag of how dangerous I think this place can be.
Yeah.
To your psyche, your self-image, to all of those things. It's just be very careful.
Amen, brother. So, yeah, that's good.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. But wait, I just want to close the door on that conversation, which was the next morning. How did you find out? What did you think when you found out?
I was studying karate at the time. I was taking taekwondo.
Where?
Junchong Taekwondo in Wilshire.
Okay.
With Philip Ree, who actually became like a kung fu movie star and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So I go. So that was early in the morning. So I went early in the morning, And other guys were in the gym. Other guys actually then said, "Hey, Mr. Hollywood, you seen anything? You seen anything lately? Hollywood, big comedy store, everything." And I did, and I said, "Yeah, last night, man. You guys are not going to believe this, but Richard Pryor and John Belushi were in. I got to talk to them. They said, oh, that must have been cool." And I actually did say, "Man, I don't. The guy has to be careful. It just wasn't well. I was worried about it. I was worried about him last night." And I came home, turned on the TV, and they were rolling out,
I know the shot.
the body with the shot from the Chateau Marmont. So
okay, all right. So moving on.
yeah, let's go happy.
Yeah, let's go happy.
Clint.
Okay.
And then lots of good things happen.
Amen, brother. So listen, you start. Tell me about you getting an agent out here. I want to know exactly everything.
I'm at the Comedy Store, and that was, it was a hang-up place.
Sure,
People
yeah.
would come there. So the talent coordinator of the Comedy Store, her boyfriend, I just heard, was an agent. I didn't know what kind of agent. I didn't know what he did. I just knew.
You just heard that agent.
Agent.
Yes.
And you have to have an agent.
Right.
So I sort of befriended him. I was nice to him. I didn't ask him to be my agent, but I did hear about a couple of jobs that were out that I heard other comics were auditioning for. So I went to him and I said, "Listen, you're not my agent. I know. I'm not asking you to be my agent. But this job and this job, they're out there right now. Would you do me a favor, just a personal favor, and just, represent me just for an audition for this? Just
Smart,
call them
smart.
and put me out there. Don't have to be my agent, whatever, but it would just be a personal thing." So he did. So he says, "Okay, I'll do that. No problem." So he calls in, and I went on these two things, and I didn't get it either.
Do you know which
But
ones they were?
I really don't know.
Okay,
I think
okay.
commercials.
Okay.
But I went on both of them, and I think he called somebody. He called the casting people or whatever, and they said, "No, the guy's good. He's really good." So he then called me and said, "Well, why don't you come into my office, and we'll just talk about it, because these people, you got good feedback on your auditions. You can do it. So let's talk." So I go into his office, and it's a Hollywood agent thing.
Sure,
but
sure.
I'm still, I consider him a New York actor.
Yeah.
So he knows me from the Comedy Store. He knows them at the doorman of the Comedy Store. So I go in there with listen, before we do anything, can I do a monologue for you from All My Sons?
He's asking. You're asking him.
I'm asking him.
Okay. Great. Wow. Okay.
So I say, can I do something from All My Sons? And he sort of looks uncomfortable for a second, and I immediately think, well, that was a mistake. But he goes, "Well, I mean, I don't think anyone." "Oh, go ahead." So I get it, It takes a little time to toss that off, because they were more than just men. For example, one time, so I do this whole thing, and he goes, "Well, nobody's ever done that before." But that was really good. And then he was my agent.
Okay, that's good. I mean, because usually people try to get away from doing a monologue. You're walking in there asking to do a monologue.
To this day, I think I'm not afraid to swing the bat.
Yeah, you're not. That's good.
I just think if you're afraid to swing the bat, I don't know. Maybe for me, it's like, if I'm going to come here, if I was going to drive 3,000 miles and live with Andrew Dice Clay, then if you want me to act, man, I'll do it. I'll act right now. I'll do whatever it is, because I want into this thing, and I'm not kidding around. I'm not playing at this. I mean, if I'm doing it, and I'm not kidding.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense. Yes, I mean, you needed that. You need that out here, because a lot of people come out here, but they get sidetracked with a whole bunch of other little things that takes they get their eyes off the goal. But that's the only thing you were doing, was wanting the goal of acting, right?
Right. That's all.
Right.
That's all I wanted to do. So it was acting, and I paid for it by doing shows, by doing stand-up. Fortunately, I was good enough at that I didn't make a lot of money, because unlike a lot of stand-ups, I just stayed in town because I thought that was the future. My future was going to be going to auditions and being connected into this industry, not being two shows in the Des Moines chuckle hut,
Right.
and whatever, which I've done a lot of
Sure.
when you need money, but I sacrificed a lot of money in order to just stay here.
Okay, he starts sending you out on auditions,
Right.
and the first thing you booked was
United States Olympic Committee.
that's a commercial.
That was a commercial for contributions to the United States
Sure.
Olympic Committee. Pete Meringer won the gold medal in wrestling in the 1932 Olympics, and I kind of looked like him, and I was a big, kind of strong kid. And the same thing. Can you guys wrestle? So everybody can wrestle. Of course. Can I wrestle? I'm like, my middle name is wrestling. I wrestled. Yeah, I was all state. And don't push me on that. I forget which state, but I was like wrestling. And but I had two brothers, so I could sort of wrestle.
Sure, yeah.
And I kind of looked like him, and I could sort of wrestle around with guys. So that was my first thing that got me into the union.
Do you remember the casting director who cast you in that?
That was in olden times.
Well, I know, but I was just curious if for some reason the name stuck out to you.
I do not remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. But
So
I remember a lot of things now, Clint. I mean, I've gone now to like, Dean Martin later in his career started calling everybody Pally. So I'm doing that. Hey, Pally, how's it going? Good to see you. How's the family? Oh, you don't have family. Yeah, I knew that, Pally. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's funny, man. Okay, so you go out. So that's commercially. Is the same agent sending you out theatrically?
Yes. Yeah, same agent. So I did that one, and then I just had an all-American kind of kid thing. So you know how it is. It's not like, oh my gosh, oh please with the offers. No, but I got gum commercial. I got in the 1984 Olympics, we're coming to LA. I got Swiss Miss Hot Chocolate that played all during the Olympics, which was really good. It played daytime network, nighttime network. I get a lot of play out of that. Those sorts of things. And then from there, I started to do guest starring football captain in The Facts of Life. Guy chasing Michael Knight around in Knight Rider. Or I should say, when I talk about episodes of television, I was in a very special Facts of Life.
See, but that's big to me. I mean, those are my shows that I watched when I was a kid. Knight Rider, Facts of Life. I mean, were these big shows to you?
Oh,
were
yeah.
you like, wow, I'm on this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I couldn't believe it.
Okay, good.
Driving onto the lot,
Yeah.
that whole thing
Yeah.
with palm trees sticking up. I mean, you're just in this little beat up car.
Yeah.
This old Buick LeSabre, like driving onto the lot. But in your head, you're looking at da-da-da-da-da-da. It's Hollywood. It was great.
After you booked those two TV shows,
Yeah.
is that what you want? Okay, is that what you wanted to book TV jobs, or are you still at this point want to book anything that comes
Honestly,
your way?
Clint, like I said, I didn't have a lot of money or anything, so I wanted to work. And I just thought that if I keep working, I felt that something organic will happen where better things will happen. If I'm professional, if I know the lines, if I'm taking it all seriously, then people will see that and appreciate it, and you'll get to work more. I thought at the time.
Okay. At that time, what's the number one goal? I know you want to do all of that, be on time and all that stuff, but what's the main goal while you're out here? What's the thing that you're chasing?
At that time or now?
No, that time.
At that time?
And don't say you just want to work. I mean, but there has to be something that you're dreaming of at night.
I thought that I had the chops as an actor. And I didn't have to be a movie star or anything. But I wanted, I think, to be challenged and to prove to everybody that, like, I can hang here.
Yeah.
I have a 95 mile an hour fastball.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not Roger Clem, maybe I'm not Hall of Fame, but I can get up and throw heat. And I can stand on my feet, and I can hold my own with any actor from anywhere, making that reality happen that we talked about.
Right.
Doing the scene and making that reality happen. And I really think that's what I was after. A challenge, hard work, and good roles to feel like, yeah, I wasn't wrong. I can hang here. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
I know I've asked, does that make sense 3 times? But
No, it's good. So you book a commercial.
yeah.
You do Knight Rider, the original,
Yeah.
not Team Knight Rider.
No.
Knight Rider.
With the Hoff.
Right. Facts of Life, a very special Facts of Life.
Very special Facts of Life.
So are there any rejection in Hollywood for you yet?
Always.
But at this point, there was happening rejection still. At the beginning.
At the beginning, yes. At the beginning, yes. A lot, yes.
Okay.
A lot. I auditioned for a casting director, Barbara Clayman at the time.
Okay.
And I finish, and she says, quickly, she says, I don't think you're really ever going to do very much here.
Wow. Wow.
I just,
well, one's telling
I
you
don't know.
not for here in New York. Someone's telling you that you don't fit in New
Right.
York. They send you here, and
Right.
then someone's telling you that again.
Absolutely. I got an audition, Bobby Hoffman, for Happy Days. Okay? Happy Days, and I go in, and I think, and I'm really thinking, and I work on it. And I'm thinking, I'm funny. This thing is going to happen, man. They're going to whatever. They're going to spin off my cat, whatever it is. This is going to
The old spin-off dream.
I'm going to be good. So I worked hard. So I go in. And of course, like that, you're a kid and you go into the room and there are like 30 of me standing there.
Yeah.
And whew. So I go in the room, laughs. It's going great. He laughs. I finish. He's, oh, that was fantastic. Oh, I mean, I can't use you, but that was great. Great.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry. What is? Well, I mean, I can't use you, but I mean, you're very funny. You're very funny. I go, what? I mean, look at you. He's my tallest actor is 5'8", and I can't bring you into the scene. We can't even do a shot with you and Henry or any of this stuff. So it's just not going to work. But man, best of luck. Great stuff.
Okay, all right. So you get an audition for Back to the Future, correct?
Right.
Tell me about that. Tell me about the audition. Who called you? How did you get auditions back then?
At that time, it's still the same now, but far less. But then, it was a real cachet to be in a movie as an actor.
Sure,
there was movie acting, and then all the other stuff that we do for money.
Right.
So I was just doing commercials and television. I was in the national campaign to introduce biscuits at Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, look at
yeah,
you!
You're welcome.
Look at you!
Without me, no biscuits.
Yeah, nice.
But my agent at that time called, cajoled, did everything. Hey, you got to see this guy. He's really good. He's solid. So I went in Mike Fenton's office at that time.
Tell me about the wait, hang on. Before you get that, you get the sides at home,
I get
right?
sides, specifically written sides that are because it's a secret script. So sides that are specifically written for the audition. I get the sides. Biff. I've been on, as I said, Knight Rider, The Facts of Life, bunch of commercials, introduced biscuits. So I think they're not going to cast me as this guy Biff. But if I do well, he has 3 gang members. So I'll do well at Biff, and then I hope get cast as these guys with the 3D glasses, or Match, or these other guys. So I go into the audition, and the assistant casting director, I remember I walk in and she says, well, you're supposed to be God's gift to acting, so let's see this, really.
Wow.
So let's see what you got.
Are they on camera? Is there a camera at this, or are you just doing it just for a pre-read?
This is before we had the cameras
Okay.
for every audition, Clint. Back in olden times, they would pick the best actor, hit him on the head with a rock, and drag him into their production cave. They did not tape anything.
Okay.
So I do the scene as Biff. You know, it was a lot of the homework stuff. You got my homework? I finish it. She says, let me get Mike in here. She gets Mike Fenton, casting director, to come in here. Why don't you do that again? I do it again. Can you do it again? What? All right. So I do it about 3 times.
Are they making any tweaks to it? Any changes?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
So I go, okay, don't know how it went, but all right. I go back. I get called back again, and they. How
much time has gone from the first audition?
At least a week or 2.
Okay.
probably,
After
until
you
I
left,
hear.
after you left the very first one, did you write that off, or did you think maybe I may hear something on that?
I thought maybe, because it seemed like it went well. It seemed like she liked it. Brought Mike in to see it, so I thought maybe good. But again, I'm thinking Biff's gang members. That'd be good, because Biff will go to some movie star. So it's still, to this day, it's the longest casting process I have ever been a part of.
Really? Okay.
They brought me back, and they brought me back, and they brought me back. Then they begin pairing people up.
Do you see anybody else that they're bringing back for your part?
All kinds of guys. Almost every big dude.
Is there a certain person that's standing out to you that you're thinking that'd be a better Biff than me?
I didn't think that anyone would be a better anything than me. And not that I'm the best, but just like, as I said, I can hang with anybody.
Okay, I like it. Okay, good confidence there. I like it.
So, I mean, all kinds of guys have come over. Tim Robbins was up for Biff. I mean, all sorts of guys said, man, I really wanted that thing. Movie stars.
Yeah.
So they paired us up into pair. They said, we're going to do team things. And they said, Tom, this is Crispin Glover. And Crispin, big swap, brown, hello, nice to meet you. And as we get paired up, Biff's and McFly's. So why don't we go outside? We'll just go through it. We go near some hedge outside, out near the parking lot. We go, McFly, what's up? And Crispin just changes into like a question mark of a human being. Well, and I was bullied when I was a kid so much that you're making it real. I was bullied I almost started to cry. It was like looking at myself.
Oh wow!
It's this kind of this fear thing, but he's trying to laugh, like he's trying to be my friend, but he's afraid. And I stopped in the middle, and he said, "Is everything all right?" Yeah. Let's do it again. So we worked on the scene, and I thought, A, I hope I get to be one of Biff's gang members, and B, if they don't cast this guy, they're out of their minds.
Yeah.
So we go in, we audition together. They ask us to do it a couple of times.
Who are you auditioning in front of right this second?
Robert Zemeckis, director, Bob Gale, producer, Neil Canton, Mike Fenton, casting director, all kinds of...
Is Spielberg ever in the room?
I'll get to that.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, good.
I'll get to that because
great.
he's coming.
Oh boy.
So that seemed to go well. Then they called me in to do, we'd like to put makeup on you to make you up like an older person, put jowls on you and everything. And in fact, in the audition, like prosthetic appliances, and see how you would act as an older man. So
what are you thinking? What's your thought process, man? What is this movie about? Are you thinking like this is crazy?
Yeah, but I knew I'm going to have to act myself old, act young actor kid. I go to the mall. I'm looking at old guys, how they move, how they hold their heads, where they talk, what their voice is doing. And I'm looking and looking and looking, and then I go in and just acting. I just kind of do that thing. I slump my shoulders. I kind of shuffle a little bit more. I lower my voice. McFly, that kind of stuff. Okay, it keeps going. I have Bruce Springsteen tickets this night, okay, with my girlfriend, my super beautiful hot girlfriend, who's now my wife of 34 years.
I was hoping you'd say that.
She's my wife of 34 years. So we have Springsteen tickets, 8 o'clock.
Where? Where's it playing?
Sports Arena.
Okay.
Sports Arena. They call me that day. Listen, they want to see you one more time, but 6:30 tonight. 6:30. I have Springsteen ticket. So I go in the audition. We go into a different room, big conference table. Heads of the studio. Sid Sheinberg is there. Spielberg is there. Baseball cap, kind of the whole deal, sitting there smiling.
Oh man!
Steven Spielberg is there. Robert Zemeckis. A huge committee. We do the scene.
Are you nervous?
I'm very nervous.
Okay.
I'm very nervous at that point.
Okay.
But I do think You have to go with everything you've done up to this point, man. You can't, you can't. Don't change. Be you. Do your thing, because it got you this far.
Where is this auditioning? Is this at Universal
This
Studios?
is at Universal, at Amblin,
Okay.
Amblin Entertainment, at Steven's company. So I do the scene. With Crispin. What? Hello? Anybody home? All that stuff. Robert Zemeckis, director, takes me aside and goes, Tom, I want to see you bully this kid. I want to see you get physical. I want to see like the threat to him. We have the comic element. We have that, but I want to see a little of that physicality and threat.
Did you back off from earlier because you started thinking about your past by really bullying him?
No, I honestly, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but not to get overly technical with this, but I honestly, Clint, had to say, I have to pretend this. I can't make this as real as maybe I've done every other role in my life, because it's so personal to me.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can't just method this thing and I feel it and I'm threatening this guy and everything, because I look in his eyes and no matter how much I believe it, man, it affects me. It affects me.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of say, look, it's less a method and more external approach to this role. Physicality, how I'm moving my neck, being, like a rooster.
Yeah.
All the
Wow.
strutting
Yeah.
vocally and in all of these ways, thinking about it. But that takes more like more rehearsal. So it's just so I understand that I'm performing a role. Anyway, I do the scene. He says, I want you to get physical with him. I want you to threaten him and all this stuff. So in a weird way, of one of those readings that you go for it and you think maybe you failed, I got very physical with him. Not beating him up, but putting him in a headlock, dragging him across the table, lifting him, taking his jacket, and lifting him into the air, like hitting him against the ceiling. So I'm like, oh, you this stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
In the middle of all that, I completely lose the scene in my head. I lose every line. I blank because I do that second guessing.
Yeah.
I have him in the air, and I'm thinking, you moron. Like, why would you lift him into the air and drag him across the table like this? You are,
Right.
And so he's practically in the air, and I've got no lines. And I put him back on the ground, and I just, and scene. I just took the completely uncomfortable ending of, They say, well, thanks, that's great. Thanks a lot, Tom. Thanks for coming in. Hey, Crispin, could you stay here
Oh no.
for a minute?
Oh no. Okay.
So I leave, thinking I blew it, and race to a Bruce Springsteen concert.
Okay.
Everyone else, the entire sports arena, dancing in the dark. Da, 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 da. I'm in section Q. I just wrecked my entire shot that I had being in a movie with Steven Spielberg. And the next morning, my agent called and said, "You're Biff. You got the role of Biff in Back to the Future."
Wow. What do you think they kept Crispin there for?
I really don't know. Years later, they told me, like that the first time when the hedge thing, the first time that we went in, we acted it, we left, everybody said, those are the guys.
Wow, so
Like,
they knew.
We're
so
done.
They knew.
We're done. That's it. Those are the two guys. And the rest of it was sort of jumping through hoops, but they knew. We sure didn't know.
Okay, so you book it?
Yeah.
When do you start filming, from booking to filming?
I don't really know. Maybe a month, because we did have 2 weeks of rehearsals, which is almost unheard of now.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks to talk about for makeup tests, do the head casts that we would do for the prosthetic appliances, all those kinds of things. Work the scenes at Amblin Entertainment. Talk about the way the car is, or the various, Bob Zemeckis was so excited about the technology we're using,
Sure.
all that
Yeah.
stuff, that he would explain these scenes. I mean, we went to lunch. So they said, we're going to have a lunch with everybody, and just to meet and greet everybody for, myself and Leah Thompson, Crispin Glover, and the guy who was playing Marty, Eric Stoltz, along with Steven Spielberg, Robert Zemeckis. And so we have this lunch at Steven Spielberg's place. And, you call mom and dad just telling them
Sure,
this stuff.
of course.
John Williams, the composer,
Oh.
pokes his head like, what are you guys doing?
Oh.
Johnny, yeah, we're just having, Back to the Future, a little movie. I'll have a salad or something. So you're just there, like, it's just unreal.
Okay.
But it was strange because Eric Stoltz had everyone calling him Marty. So he was doing a method thing, and they said, so Eric, the guy playing Marty, would like you to always call him Marty, and just like he's going to be in character, and so always sort of approach it like that and call him Marty.
Okay.
At a lunch. With
Okay.
John Williams.
You think that was the start of a different thought for them?
Yes.
Okay. You start filming. Are you thinking, oh my God, this is the biggest, because you don't know yet what you're doing yet. So what are you thinking, like when you're driving home at night working on this project, are you thinking, wow, I'm filming a movie. Like, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I'm filming a movie. Yes, we're all thinking, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Crispin Glover and I were getting together. We would eat in Hollywood somewhere. We used to go to Michelli's. Right across the street from Universal. It's still there.
Yeah, it sure
across
is.
the street from Universal. See,
Next to the baked potato.
Yeah, this fish dish they had with nuts on it, something. Anyway, which was cool with me. So we'd be hanging out and improvising together. We do these improvisations, like in character, all over town. It was, Crispin's, an out of the ordinary guy
Sure.
in his process. So that was cool with me. I mean, I do whatever process is happening. So he would do his thing. But we were also, like, we were kids on it. Like, we would go to these rehearsals, and one time at night they were just having a test of the gigantic wind fans that would be during the storm.
Oh,
right?
wow.
That would be
Yeah,
during the storm
yeah,
when
yeah.
Michael is getting into the car and
Yeah,
leaving, right?
yeah.
So Crispin and I are in Courthouse Square, and the sun is going down, and they're just powering up these fans. I mean, the fan is just like 12 feet wide. So we're just, so we go, and we're standing in front of these fans, just going, look, it's holding up my weight. And the guys working the fans like, okay, fellas, thanks for helping us out. But we were just young guys, just going,
Having the time of your
having
life.
a time of our lives. We walked into the back lot, and we were, at one point, the flood at the Universal Studios
yes.
back lot.
Yep.
They have a flood thing, and water comes in, and everyone. Well, we went into this building that, like, behind a window, and as the trams would go through and the water would come down, we would just knock on the windows, going, "Help us! Help us!
I know exactly.
The ride is broken. We're gonna drown." So that kind of stuff.
I love it.
Until at one point, like, we didn't get in trouble, but it was sort of like, fellas, you're at a 10. We need you at about a 7.
I would have done the same thing, man. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, it was fun stuff, and you're on a movie, and you can't deny, hooray for Hollywood.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You're driving your car into the lot. And,
Are you having financial issues at all? Are you start getting paid for this like once a week? How are your bills covered while you're filming right now?
while I was filming Back to the Future,
Yes.
My bills were covered okay, but I was living in one room. I was still living in the house because I was engaged at the time. So, well, this is not. We didn't make a lot of money on the Back to the Future movie. You made very close to SAG minimum on it for weekly.
Right.
So it was okay. It was certainly okay, but it wasn't like, hey, well, hello, Corvette manufacturer. It wasn't like that. It was just surviving.
Yeah.
And I was engaged at the time to this girl, so I was trying to save up money for a wedding. So basically, Back to the Future paid for my rent at the time and my food, and a nice wedding, not particularly expensive, but a nice wedding, and that was it.
Okay, so you're filming, and we don't even need to go to the Eric Stoltz thing. I want to ask you one question about Michael J. Fox. That's the only question I got for you.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the station wagon that he drove in? I read about a station wagon that drove him from Family Ties,
Yeah.
so he could sleep
Yeah.
from Family Ties to the set of Back to the Future. Did you ever see that?
Oh, I saw it all the time.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you ever see him sleep in it?
I saw him sleeping everywhere.
Really?
He was the sleepiest guy I've ever known. He was like sleeping. Yeah. He would have some sweatshirt with the hood on, in a director's chair. He was just, because he was literally doing Family Ties during the day and Back to the Future shooting at night.
Okay, if I'm driving down, if I'm in Burbank and I drive down, I can't even think what street it is, but it's the Burger King that he comes out of at the very beginning of the movie.
Right.
I think of Back to the Future every time I see that location.
Right.
What location, when you're driving around Los Angeles, do you think of those days?
Really, not the location so much, because I don't get to Whittier High School and everything, but every time I drive past Universal Studios, I just remember getting off of work, because Michael was because we were shooting nights.
Yeah.
So getting off of work at 6 or 6:30 in the morning. Sometimes if they were done with my scenes, I would get off work at 3:30. And it's not even there anymore. This little way that you could go by, what was it, over the egg company, the casting office.
Yes.
It was these casting buildings, and you would drive by those, and then this rutted out entrance to the 101.
Yes.
That was just all potholes and everything. And man, I would just drive that very quickly at 3:30 in the morning and pull onto the 101 just to get home after working.
Yeah.
So there's so many memories like that of the Universal lot.
I love the mountain. The mountain where now the spaceships take off.
Exactly what you're
I think
talking
about that every
Absolutely,
time.
I do
see
too.
that.
I do too. And I've shot in Courthouse Square a bunch. I mean, I was a ghost whisperer that used Courthouse Square.
Okay. You film it, and then before it comes out, do you know the week it comes out? What are you expecting? What happens? Tell me about that so we can move on to the next.
Sure. When it's we didn't know because Goonies was shooting next to us.
Okay.
And Goonies was the big movie.
Okay.
They had waterfalls. They had pirate ships. Their crew and cast jacket, a Letterman jacket, leather sleeves, embroidery on the back. We were this little movie about a time traveling car that replaced its star in the middle of production, that is over budget and over time and everything. We got these little cheapo windbreakers. I still have mine somewhere. Windbreakers with a little Back to the Future thing on the back. So we were not the little pet movie.
Right.
We were this other thing. Goonies was going to be huge, but in post-production, I was hoping that it would be good. I was hoping that I'd be good. I was hoping that people would like it.
Yeah.
A couple of friends worked on Walla.
Wait, Walla. What's Walla?
Walla group is those ADR groups that just do the Walla stuff, conversations in restaurants.
Yes.
A friend of
Isn't
mine
that also called looping? Is that
well,
looping? Is that
it
a
was
loop group?
but back then it was called.
I got you. Okay.
So it's a loop group. This friend of mine is the tow truck driver who is backing up with George McFly's car.
Yes,
who
yes.
just says, "Back at 10. Well, yeah, we'll be back. We've got to pick up this car." Whatever.
Right.
Background stuff. Anyway, these people that were watching big chunks of the movie called me to say, "This thing is good. I mean, this thing is good. Buy stock in Universal Studios because this is a good movie." And then word got out. Back then, more than now, you sort of almost had to audition your movie to theater owners. You showed the movie, and then that would determine how many theaters the movie would be shown in.
Right.
So they showed this work print. They didn't have one ready, like the whole movie. They showed a work print to the movie owners saying, "We're not done with this, but we're going to try." And they went crazy on the work print. And then the word got out. Then it's like, this is a different thing, everything. And then when it came out, the cover of Time magazine was Spielberg and talking about Back to the Future, and it's a classic for all time, and everyone should see this. And so it got huge reviews. The Channel 7, Gary Franklin, the reviewer on Channel 7 here in Los Angeles, gave it 7 out of 10 stars. The outcry was some people calling the stage. What are you talking about? 7 out of 10 stars. That he had to go back on the air to say, look, people, relax.
Well, okay, wow, okay. When do the words? But see, okay, I don't. So it comes out.
Yeah.
Is your mind blown with everyone loving it?
My mind is blown with everyone loving it. We did a screening at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. We did a big screening room, fancy. All directors were there. That was like, wow. Everybody was there. Directors, and George Lucas is over here, and this guy, and I'm still just like, whoa, I'm in Hollywood. And you know, an industry crowd, they're very polite, but they get like a nice golf clap.
Yeah.
Well done. This crowd went crazy. They went crazy. It was a different kind of a thing. It got, you know, they just applauded through all of the credits. They were just a huge cheer for everything. And then John Milius, a director,
Okay.
directed a bunch of stuff. Red Dawn, screenwriter.
Oh, I love Red Dawn.
He was a couple of people away from me, and he leans over like, "Man, that was unbelievable, man, unbelievable." So, and that began this thing.
Yeah.
Where you just, okay, I thought it would be good. You know, I was hoping it'd be good, and everyone's just like blown away.
When do they start talking about doing part 2? Not part 2, not 2 and 3, but part 2.
Because of these reviews, because of things that were happening, the first night of release, I went to a screening, and I forget where it was, but my agent was at the screening, and my then fiance was at the screening, and she came up to me and said, they've already called, beginning to talk about Back to the Future 2. Okay, that's fine. But that didn't end up happening for a long time from then. That didn't happen for many years after that. But the beginnings of we're interested in this as more than this was very early.
Okay, I'm saying all that just so I can get to Let's Get Harry.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
When do you shoot that? Do you shoot that between the Back to the Futures?
Yes. It was before it. It was before it came out, I think.
You did two
I shot
films
that.
that I like. Let's Get Harry and Action Jackson.
Action Jackson.
I'm not kidding. For some reason, I love those films.
Yeah.
Did you get those because of Biff, or was that auditioning at the time when they didn't know you yet?
They didn't know me yet. They didn't. Action Jackson, they knew me because that was Craig Baxley directed it. That was wow, Pally. I call him Pally.
That's great. That's great.
But I didn't get the Back to the Future recognition didn't really do very much for helping me in casting. Before Back to the Future was out, I got cast, I think, in a movie called April Fool's Day, in Let's Get Harry, and movies like that. And then it began to stiffen up because it was too big. It actually got very big fast. So we can talk about Let's Get Harry, but that was how 2 weeks after it was released, Back to the Future, Crispin Glover and I went out to dinner at Cantor's.
Sure.
Cantor's Deli.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we're just going to dinner. We're just hanging out. Go to dinner at Cantor's, and we come into the restaurant, and the entire place stops, like dropping spoons, that kind of stuff.
I believe this.
And we don't even know. We're like, what? That's weird. What's that about? And so we're walking in, and everyone is looking at us, and we literally are like, do you know what this is about? And Crispin, maybe they saw the movie. And it turned out like everyone had seen the movie. I mean, everyone had seen the movie. Let's Get Harry.
We don't have to talk about that much about Back to the Future. I just like that.
I'm an open book about it.
Yeah.
I'm old now. I don't care. Ask me anything. I'll just tell you. I don't care. I'm not trying to impress anybody with anything. I just, Let's Get Harry was Stuart Rosenberg was directing it. He directed Cool Hand Luke, 7 Days in May. Historic director. great guy. We became very good friends. But I was, it was back to my acting roots of making the stuff real and making it happen. A bunch of guys that resent what's going on. Their friend is held hostage by terrorists, and these guys make together a ragtag group of like plumbers and regular guys,
I love it.
and hire Robert Duvall, who is a professional mercenary, and they go to get their friend back. Great idea, isn't it?
Great idea.
Great idea.
Yeah.
So I do a bunch of auditions for Stewart and the producers, and that's the first time that ever happened. Stuart Rosenberg, this guy, has a cigar in his mouth. He walks up to me at the end of it, he puts out his hand and says, I want you to be in my movie. Okay. All right, Stuart. So we went to Veracruz, Mexico, and we shot that for a long time with Robert Duvall and Gary Busey.
Gary Busey, man.
And a bunch of guys. Mike Schofling, great
Sure,
guy.
great
guy.
cast.
Glenn Fry,
Yes,
Rick Rossovich.
yes.
Bunch of great guys.
Okay, I love that movie. When did they start? All right, dude, we need you back. We need you back for 2 and 3. How did you first hear when it started happening again? How did you hear about it being back to back?
We didn't hear that until here, they called for Back to the Future 2.
Okay.
Okay. They wouldn't tell me what it was about, whether I was in it, how much I was in it, whether they were just using old footage of me, whatever. They wouldn't say anything. They just wanted to make the deal. I said, well, am I in it? I mean, is this a cameo thing or whatever? Yeah, make the deal. And we'll see. So it's one of those things, there's show and there's business. So it was business. So they made a deal that was very close to the quote that I was getting at the time. It wasn't anything huge. Everyone thinks, man, you cashed in now. Man, you have a yacht. Not even close. Not even close. The Universal Studios, well, this is Tom. This is Tom's work. This is what Tom is making right now, and we will pay Tom this.
Wow.
So finally, I was like, I don't think so. No, what's going on? And then they took me to this lunch at Fung Lum's, which is this Chinese
I don't know that
restaurant.
place. Is it
Fung
still
Lum's-
around?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
They took me to this thing with this kind of like, hey Tom, listen, we like you a lot. I mean, you're not kind of supposed to do that to the actor. You're supposed
Sure.
to talk to the agent,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
we,
but they know.
They know. So they take you to lunch. You go, listen, your agent's saying this and that. You're not going to do it, whatever. And this guy was in it. He's not doing it anymore. This guy, it looks like he's not going to do it because he's a hard time. So I'd make the deal. Well, guys, am I in it? I mean, what is it? Why don't you just make the deal? We'll see. We like you. You're fantastic. Do you like him? Rick, he loves you. He loves you. You're fantastic, man.
Wow, man.
Make the deal.
Wow.
So I called my agent and said, listen, I don't know Hollywood. I'm not one of these guys. I'm not high powered. Just make the deal. What happened? I had the lunch. They can't do that. What can't you? Look, I know. I don't want to wake up with a horse's head in my bed. Let's just do it. The question is, do it or not do it. We'll do it. Anyway, I make the deal. I show up at the studio and they go, oh, and by the way, we're doing 2 and 3 back to back. And there's a little microfiche thing in the contract where we're going to do both. So we're doing 2 and 3.
Wow.
And then they send me the script, which is that thick, and I'm just looking at it, and I'm like everywhere. I'm everywhere. The whole Biff Casino and this guy and whatever. So they
How are you feeling when you're seeing this? Like, are you saying them SOBs, they got me? Or are you saying this is great, this is great, this is great?
What is, Clint, it's life. So it's a combination.
Yeah.
Everything can happen at the same time,
Yeah.
Of course, like you and me, we are journeyman actors. We've been here for a long time.
Yeah.
And we know how things work, right?
Yep.
And we have a sense that we will do our best and we will do well and we will take care of business for our family, but somehow
Yeah.
Somehow, I used to joke back then. I'm like, somehow, you remember the Little Rascals?
Sure.
And they had Club Spanky.
Sure.
Alfalfa was outside, right? He was seeing the Barber of Seville. Everyone's like in Club Spanky. Like, you know what I mean? And they're like champagne popping. It's fabulous in here. Like, you know, like rubbing at the window. How do you get in there? I think I was pretty good. So both things can happen at the same time.
Yeah.
So like, well, congratulations, man, on making one of the most unbelievable deals in the history of movies for 2 sequels. And you know, and it's good work for me. I mean, good
It was
good
great work
acting
for you.
work.
It was great acting. That's the one thing I like about your characters in it. You're great as Biff as the guy in the 50s. You're great as the Western. You're like the characters that you play the when you are the big casino mogul. You're fantastic at these parts.
Yeah.
So
Can I, before we go on,
Yeah,
can I
please.
say I am not complaining
I
at
know
all,
you're not. I
young
know you're
people.
not. I don't think anyone's thinking
no,
that.
I'm just telling you how it is.
That's what we want to know.
I'm just telling you how it is, and that is how it is, and I don't care, you know, what anybody thinks about anything that I say. Really.
Yeah,
So, but I'm just being honest, not like, you know, it's been unbelievable.
No, hey.
An unbelievable adventure, and you get those roles, and immediately, I mean, I'm like, I don't even know how to do this. I mean, how to do older guy that's, you know, the Biff who owns the casino, older Biff that's pathetic, young Biff here, Griff, his own grandson.
That's right, Griff.
Buford, Mad Dog Tannen, Old Western.
right,
And
yes.
so to have everyone be of the same family, of the same actor, but be different.
And you were completely different, but yet the same. But Biff,
Right.
which was mind blowing, which was very talented. You can't just.
But it was the same. It was going for that. If I can, okay, back to external acting.
Please.
Back to how am I physically standing? How am I holding my body? How am I walking? How is my jaw? You know, like my face. Because I'm thinking, like, what can I change? What can I change? Just standing here. I could change my slouch, and I can change the way my jaw is. You know. So Buford, I just like he's just a loose jaw. Hey, McFly. You know that stuff.
Yeah.
And just
Wow.
vocally in the timbre of the voice from high, hey McFly, you know, hey McFly, to all of those things. And I went through, I had different colored highlighters
Yeah.
for every different character, going to like 3x5 cards, rewriting all of the dialogue, do color coding because I had scenes with myself, acting with
Wow,
myself.
wow.
So it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy.
Wow. I mean, I just think about it, and I never want to put you on the spot, but can I just tell you my favorite line that you do?
Go right ahead.
Which is, I drive all the way over here, and all you got from me is a Miller Lite, or what do
Light
you-
beer? I have your car towed all the way to your house. All you got from me is light beer.
I think about that line a lot for some reason. That is so funny. Okay, 2 and 3 comes out. I mean, this is a thing in your life.
Yes.
But see, I see you as an artist before all of this because you're a painter, you're a singer, you're a performer. Does this stunt you being an artist for a while?
Absolutely.
And did that? I don't want to say I'm not your psychiatrist or whatever that is, but how did that make you feel? That kind of put you on hold for a second.
Very badly. For maybe too long a time, but look, I've always. We got onto a pirate ship, Clint, you and me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a pirate ship, okay? Everybody else, all the other guys, the guys who are accountants or lawyers or whatever, they went down to the dock and they see the ship with guys wear a uniform. And they have to salute that guy. And they do all this stuff. And you and me, when we were young, when like, look at that one over there with the black flag, and the guys wear like red bandanas and stuff, and they don't have any balls. I'm doing that. Well, there's a risk to that, man.
Yeah.
There's a risk to that. All these guys who come up to me who are complaining about this hasn't happened to me. And, you don't go. The day after you're on the pirate ship. Excuse me, are you in charge here? I had a bag of valuables that seemed to have gone missing.
Yeah.
It's like you're on a pirate ship. This happens. Stuff happens. When you do something huge, when you take a huge risk and go for it in a bunch of movies and everybody sees it, that's just what's going to happen. And I can't, no matter how I go, like, well, I am available for, I mean, I can do other, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. They were huge everywhere I went. I got off the plane in Hong Kong, and a guy pulling a rickshaw is going, Back to the Future. He's telling people, Back to the Future guy. And you're thinking, in Hong Kong, on a rickshaw, you know, it's everywhere. So that is very, very limiting as an actor, you know. And everyone wants me to be in this B movie where I kill 7 girls and I hang them upside down, and you know, and finally they kill me with what? And I just, I didn't want that to be my career, and I don't want it to be. So I sacrificed a lot of, I think, of money and opportunity in order to do what I felt I had to follow, follow my own star, follow my path that was for me, that I wanted to do, right?
Right.
And me and my wife at the time, we talked. There's a lot of stuff that we said we're not going to dip our toe in the muck of it,
right,
you know?
Right.
And just say I'm going to cash in. And yes, I'm a bad guy, and everyone hates me, and I'll be killed, or I'll kill people, or I'll beat up girls, or I'll do whatever you like. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So, yeah, I haven't done a lot of work that's been available, but I've done the things that I did. But you know, but when you're this, like, even stand-up, like after that, stand-up, it's like why I wrote that song, the question song, and all that stuff is, I would have to deal with it. I would have to do 5 minutes of material for an audience saying, yes, I know, I'm that guy from that movie that you all saw. And I'll do the lines for you, and I'll do all of that stuff. If maybe we're done with that, I'll continue with an actual show.
Yeah, right.
But you have to do that. Again, I'm just being honest. I'm saying how it is, not complaining about it, just saying like that. That's
and you're
it.
not. And you're not. Because I looked at you last night at all your stuff. I'm going, wow, this guy's really talented. He would have been successful at anything he set his mind to. He had 5 different avenues. Unfortunately, they picked him on the very first avenue he came out with.
Right. I think that's true. I think that's true. That I was unknown before that, but then I was, boom, known by everybody all at the same time. Yeah. And it didn't grow like, boy, did you see him in that movie? He was very good. Wow, that thing, it was solid. And everyone, and you grow like in this fertile soil of the work that you've prepared, you grow a career. I was like, bang, and then you know, you're going into auditions constantly, thousands of times, Clint, where I'm just being asked Back to the Future questions by movie producers.
I bet.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
But here's one thing I want to say about it, is that you're talking about this path. We did see that, though, with Back to the Future, with you just not playing Biff, you playing the cowboy, you playing the casino. We saw a lot of your acting.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I mean, and it was great.
The most gratifying thing to me, Clint, I mean, I love it. Okay, rewind way back to the beginning of this. What I wanted has come true. Absolutely what I wanted, which is professional actors, people with a resume as long as my leg, who at an audition or at a restaurant come up to just say, I just have to tell you, man, that was fantastic work.
Yeah.
I mean, the work was fantastic.
Yeah.
I get, you know, and everyone wants to, and actors want to make that distinction. Because they're going like, I understand the movie, I understand the bigness, I understand that it's big in China and everybody. No, the work was so solid.
It was.
And that's all I need. I'm done. After that, I'm done, man.
Seriously. I've gone literally an hour over normal than what I normally do.
Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Okay, let's just start. We're going to start winding down a little bit here, though. 2 and 3 come out.
Yeah.
What do you do? I know we just talked about all of that. Do you have a new plan of course that you're going to take? You taking time off? Are you going to reinvent? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts at this time?
I didn't get a job for a long time after that. A job.
Are you asking for jobs? And they're
I was going out all the time. I was doing all the things that we do. Calling, seeing. I was writing, never stopped writing anybody. I was writing and performing my own things, which was good. It doesn't put a lot of food on the table, but it was being a creative artist all of that time, which was very important to me. But I was going into, okay, I'll tell you. So I'm going in and I'm going and I'm going and I'm going, and I think often casting directors end it. I do a reading that I think, man, that was the best I could do, and they would go, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. And they have this face. And I didn't know at the beginning what that face was, and then I understood what the face was. My manager calls me. My manager at the time calls me. He says, listen, we got to talk about something. We're getting a lot of feedback from your auditions. Man, you're a good actor. You really do it. But nobody's going to hire you, man, because everyone just thinks of Back to the Future. So he said, listen, we've been thinking about it. We had a meeting without me. We had a meeting. Maybe you should think about, like, sports. Like, what do you mean sports? Like, sports broadcaster. Like, you're a big guy. Probably, maybe people will think you're an athlete. You go out, you start small. You start interviewing, or maybe a play-by-play thing, and because sports is growing. I think really, at this point in my career, you truly think that I should quit everything and be a sports broadcaster. And they said, well, I'm just telling you what we hear. So you hang up the phone there and just think, I've got a real problem on my hands, a real problem. So I just performed live a lot. I performed live a lot. I went everywhere, and I did stand up. I was raising 4 kids, and they, it was hard. It was hard.
We're going to pull over just for a second.
Yeah.
Tommy, your son Tommy.
Yeah.
Pitcher.
Yeah.
Minor league
New
for
York
the
Mets.
Mets.
Yeah.
I saw a video last night. You and his uncle waiting to see if he got drafted. It was a beautiful moment.
Right,
a beautiful moment.
That's right.
It really was. That was a really neat moment.
That's right. Well, you start at, he's 6 or 7 years old at Little League games.
Yeah.
And the apple has been catapulted from the tree. I was not an athlete. I was an artist, as I said. And his first baseball game, he's just unbelievable. Like as a little kid. And I turned to my wife and said, I think that you and I are going to be sitting at a lot of baseball games. Because he was 6 or 7 years old. At the end of the game, a 4-year-old came up and asked for his autograph.
Wow.
No kid at his first baseball game.
Wow.
So he was just really good. And he went through everything. And last season, he pitched for Cal State Fullerton in the College World Series and the Super Regionals, all that stuff. He beat Stanford. Great. He beat University of Washington. He was drafted by the Mets. And he went off. He had a good season last year with the Brooklyn Cyclones.
Great. He seems like a great kid.
He's a wonderful guy. That's look, my wife and I are so proud of our daughters and our son. We, and as I said, I'm very, very proud of him this much for baseball. That much. He's a good guy.
Okay. Let me ask you something. This is about acting, okay? This is about the entertainment field.
Right.
What do you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning worried about? I ask this question a lot on this show, so it's not just you.
I'm really not worried, Clint, at 3 in the morning.
A concern.
I'm concerned about my kids having a happy life.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm concerned about how they're going to be because I'm a dad.
Sure.
I'm concerned about my wife, but she's very well. She was very sick for a long time, and she's doing well now. So I'm concerned about that, but I'm very grateful. But but I'm so grateful to God, Clint. I am for just allowing me to have this adventure. If you're going to go on an adventure, as you and I have gone on, I think you have to expect that you think the ship is going to go down at least 4 times, it's not going to be an adventure. If everything works out great. So things have worked out great and badly and terribly, and people have not, I've gone through this cycle of being sort of, what an actor. He's hot. Everyone wants to see him. To like, are you kidding me? What is that? I mean, that's old news, man. So you go through that cycle 3 or 4 times. So I'm not particularly concerned. Because, I mean, not to get all goofy on you here, but at one point, and I'm talking years ago, and everyone knew me just as Biff, and everywhere I go, people yell butthead at me, and, hey McFly, everywhere I go, in airports and everything, it can mess with your head. It can mess with your head. So I had to think about it. I really had to give, as I did in the beginning, with my kids. Look, I gave them to God. I gave God my career. I gave God everything. Just saying, look, I can't control this.
Sure.
I don't know how to run Hollywood.
Sure.
I don't know how these people think.
Sure.
All I can do is my best. So now, look, I'm a dad. I still worry about money because I'm not rich like everybody. I have to work and try to put something away for the SAG retirement and
Sure.
all that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff. But it's just going to be what it is. I'm going to sit in the palm of God's hand, and it's going to be what it is.
Here's the what.
Did that make sense?
That makes
was
beautiful
that too
sense.
preachy?
No.
But it's true.
I'm going to
just
end
being
with
honest.
I'm going to end.
being honest.
I'm going to end with a good word from the book. Are you ready?
All right.
I believe it's Hebrews 13:2. Do not forget to entertain strangers, for by doing so, some have entertained angels without knowing it.
True.
You, my friend, have entertained a lot of people.
That is very, very true.
And that
That's
is a
very
responsibility that God gave you.
I understand
And you
it.
have been a great servant on that because so many people have watched it. I watched you from a clip from you in Japan. These Japanese kids running up to you dressed like we would
Yes.
be. It's amazing.
It meant a lot to people's lives, to
Yes.
so many people's
Yes.
lives. It's beyond description, and people will come up to me, and they're not, it's not like me as an actor. Oh, I'm meeting a movie star. They're trying to impart what this thing has meant in their life.
Yes.
And they start a story. Like my mom and dad were getting split up, and we went to this drive-in, and I saw this, and they're trembling, and they just start to cry.
Yeah.
Because they're just trying to say, like, it just was a little bit of joy.
Yeah.
In a really hard time, A friend of mine, first movie, his wife passed away tragically. And we were in our mid-20s. And his wife passed away tragically, far, far away. And just bereft. He goes into this movie theater, and he's watching this movie, and he literally goes, "Is that Tom? What? Just this illogical, like one of his best friends from school is like just in this movie, and just like that gets him out of his phone, brings him into the movie. Well,
Awesome.
I guess I'll watch this, and he just has this joyful experience
Yeah.
that shakes it up. But and that's a microcosm. It's happened to so many people around the world, and I know that, and I've tried in my life to be to be kind to people, to try to be a gentleman about it, to understand that people know me as that and want me to knock them on the head and all that stuff. And that's what it is.
Well, here's what the last thing I want to say about the whole thing about what we're talking about. It's a great vehicle because, like you said, it was about a time traveling car. But when we see it on, like if we were changing it on AMC and we see it, it takes us back.
Right.
Like a time machine, like, oh my God, I remember watching this movie with my buddy Alfred
Yeah.
Rios. Like everybody has such a special memory about it.
Everybody has memorized the script.
Yes,
Everybody.
wow,
They will
wow.
do those marathons only
Yes.
because these cable, they found that if you just put up Back to the Future, people will stop on that cable, like it went, oh, he's in the car. He's going, and they'll just watch that thing.
Yes. Tom, I literally could go on forever.
I'll
But
do it
like
again
I said,
sometime.
no, Tom, I want to do it again because
Whatever.
there is more to you. There's a lot more to you. I just got to Back to the Future 3. I mean, I literally worked, there's so much more to you.
We didn't even talk about our Clio award-winning commercials directed by Christopher Guest.
That's true. We'll save that for part 2.
Okay.
Because I do want to talk more with you.
Sure, absolutely.
Can you do me one last favor?
Yeah.
We tell everybody out there, right here, goodbye.
No.
But
Bye.